Good morning, everyone. We thought we'd have a 5-minute grace for Sunday, so it's 10:05 now. We'll get underway, but we know that you've all got things to do, so I think it's probably better we don't do any later than this. But if anyone else comes, of course, they're welcome. It's a bit of a mystery. But anyway, the children, of course, are welcome to wander in and out. This is a community event. So I'm Mark Venstra. I'm the chairperson of the Board of Trustees, and I'm here on behalf of a group of people who have been thinking about how to consult with you about the visioning that we've been doing. And that group includes Mike Schneider, and several other people who are here. There's Tony and Ros sitting up the back here, and Mary and Anna and Phil. So we've been representing the parent group that came together around national standards as one of the groups. Then there's the Board of Trustees, Phil and I are representatives. Anna and Carol Scholes, who's the chair of the trust, representing the trust. Dee and Megan are representing the college. For those who may not be aware, Dee's away in South Africa at the moment. Otherwise she might well be here. I think that's pretty much that group. So we've been thinking for a little while about how to consult, and there's been a pretty big effort that's gone into the thinking process, and it's resulted in this event, obviously, and this agenda, which I'll just share with you. So I'm going to spend about 20 minutes or so telling you about the vision itself. That's my primary job today, and not in any detail, just so that you've got an overview of the outlines of the vision. And then Mike is going to talk a little bit about the process, and the reason he's going to be talking about the process is that the parent group that came together around national standards have really taken hold of the question of how to have a good consultation process, and he's going to be articulating our combined views, but led by them on that question. And then at the end, we'll have about 10 minutes for any questions that you may have about the process. Thank you, Danny. So we'll start off with the founding of the school in 1979. And obviously there was a vision then, or there was a vision of the school. So you're sitting in the results of a vision by the parent community to have a Steiner school here in Auckland, and that attests to the power of a vision. And then fast forward to 2012, I think it's fair to say that there isn't a common view in the school community, either inside the school in the teaching body or outside the school in the parent community, about what the future of Michael Park ought to be. So there is, I think, it's reasonable to suggest that there is a need for a vision, or for some kind of unifying view about what kind of school we're going to be creating going forward. In terms of the life of the school, being a Steiner school, we tend to think in 7-year cycles. So the vision that we've got, that we've been working on, is for 2028. At that point, the school will be 49 years old. And in those 7-year cycles, we're coming up to the end of one in about 2014. So in addition to thinking about a long-term vision, we're also going to be thinking about the little bit of the 7-year cycle that we're in, and how the vision that we develop can unfold during that relatively short period of time, and we're looking for your contributions on that as well. And then there's 2028, and you can see here is some work by John Rory, who I hope most of you are familiar with. So senior Steiner school teacher, very experienced and knowledgeable and wise, I dare say, who's created this image for us. And it's a puriri tree, in case you're wondering. And I think what John's sort of pointing to here in the series of images is the reality that although we've done a lot and we've come a long way, there's a lot more that we can do. Just before I launch into the vision, just to give you a bit of a feel for where we actually are at today, we recently had a visit to the school by the Education Review Office, commonly known as ERO, and we don't have their confirmed report yet, but I managed to get my hands on it, and I want to share some of the highlights with you because I knew it's basically good news, and I think it's important for you to have a sense of what kind of a school we already have. So here are some questions from them, and then some of the highlights of the reports under those questions. So the first question was, how well are students learning, engaging, progressing and achieving? Students are well engaged in learning. Engagement is supported by settled learning environments and positive teacher and student relationships. Students display a strong sense of belonging and social responsibility to the school community. And I have to just make a couple of comments here, is that they basically wander around and do whatever they like. There's no way of managing ERO, just in case you're wondering. They're too good at their jobs. How effectively does this school's curriculum promote and support student learning? The curriculum embraces and embeds the Steiner vision for a confident, connected and actively involved learner. Teachers are enthusiastic, receptive to new ideas and provide good quality teaching programs. And then the last question I'll comment on from the report, how well placed is the school to sustain and improve its performance? The school is very well placed to sustain and improve its performance. The board provides effective governance. There is unity of purpose and good working relationships between the board, the Rudolf Steiner Schools Trust and the management of the school. There is strong professional and pedagogical leadership in the school. So those are some of the highlights, and on the 20th of June you'll be able to go to the website and find out, read the confirmed report for yourselves. But the reason I just wanted to mention is I think that, as individuals we have expectations of our schools, and they're often very high, and rightly so, because our precious children are going there, and what happens really matters. And obviously this is a Steiner school, and we're not necessarily disposed towards seeing an outside agency like ERO as being the judge of what is and is not a good Steiner school. But it's important to know that ERO as an organisation is not only accountable for assessing us according to the national curriculum, they're also responsible for assessing us against our own special character, and the members of the group that came in have been and assessed other Steiner schools, so they do actually have some knowledge and experience about what it is that we're doing here and how well we're doing it. So that's the base, the starting point. So why bother? Why have a vision? I think there's just one simple idea about why we do it. It's unity. It's to unify the school around the direction that we're going in as a school. That's the reason. Very simple and very clear and really, really important. I think that National Standards was a great example of what happens when the school is unified around a common purpose. We can do amazing things, really extraordinary things. And I even mean, I think we made an impact at the ministry level in quite a significant way as a single school because we were unified. We did it early and we did it really well. So I think that attests to the power of that idea of unifying. And of course, because we're full of individuals, that doesn't mean everybody is going to agree with this vision. That is not the idea. But nevertheless, there can be a consensus that's real around the direction that we're going to go in. And that's the point of having a vision. How will it make a practical difference? Well, I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and we're responsible for quite a lot of strategic decisions. Right now, when we make those decisions, the reference point is us and what we think. If we have a vision that goes out further than that, then we have a reference point to which we are accountable when we're making strategic decisions. The same for the Rudolf Steiner Schools Trust. They're responsible for the special character of the school. They're responsible for the buildings that you're sitting in, most of them anyway. So when they're sitting down, they make very long-term decisions. Right now, they have no reference point other than their own ideas. So the vision, again, provides accountability for them and a reference point for them. So, and then at a more sort of prosaic level, when you come in the future to Fair Day, my idea is that there will be a room somewhere in the school that's full of our vision, and people, particularly the board and the trust, will be in that room ready to talk with you about where we are, where we're going and how we're getting on. And we will be accountable to you for our vision. There'll be a place where you can come and converse with us about that at Fair Day. And then also, Dee's idea was that on the birthday of our school, we as a school will become accountable to you as a community for what progress we're making towards that vision. And not just in a way where you get bailed up in a corner with your questions but also in a festival way, in a reverent way. That in a school that purports to have some kind of soul life, it really matters that the vision that we have has depth and has real life in the heart, not just something that's up here in theory. And I think John's involvement in the artistic side of it is moving in the right direction. So those are a couple of examples of how it might make a practical difference. And the purpose of these consultation workshops, very simple also. We want a better vision. We've done our best, and believe me, we put a lot of work. What you're going to see now is the 6th major draft of the vision. So it had a lot of work going to it. It's not had a lot of work from the parent group that we've been working with. They have not had an opportunity to have an advance kind of go at modifying the vision, although from time to time they have expressed an opinion, that they're with you in that process. They're going to be with you in the, going through the consultation process that they've helped us to design. But the point of all of this is that the work that we've done, so the work has been done by the Rudolph Steiner Schools Trust, the board in particular, the College of Teachers, all the sections, so the kindergarten, lower school, middle school, high school, the administrative staff in the school, the staff as a whole in the school, have all had a say. We have drawn on the survey that we did a couple of years ago that some of you may remember and wondered what had happened to it. So it didn't go nowhere. It's, we basically had some big issues come up in the school, particularly national standards and Steiner School Certificate, which have consumed a lot of the headroom. And I think it's also important to just be aware, and I get insight into this because I'm married to a Class 1 teacher. I know about the demands of being a teacher in this school. And I think demands on teachers, period, are very high. But this school has a particularly dedicated group of teachers, and the demand to get involved in something like visioning, which is a serious endeavour and costs extra on top of all the other things that not only need to be done for today, but need to be done for this year operationally, which is already a high demand. It's pretty extraordinary, but they've put a lot of work into it anyway, and so have we. So this is an overview of the vision, very high level. There is detail. You'll be given a handout as you leave, and if you need to leave early for any reason, please see Mary. She'll give you a copy of it. So that handout has essentially got forms in it for you to fill out that are preparation for getting involved in the consultation process. And I really encourage you to put some time and energy into looking at what's there. A lot of work has gone in, and the only way to improve it is by you understanding what we've already done and building on it. So at the centre you can see John's image, the puru tree, and then underneath it there's a little phrase, education for social conscience. And that's right at the centre of our vision. And there's a couple of examples for me about why it is. It's not so much that the idea of education for social conscience is something which is way out there in the future. It's more that it's like a touchstone for what this school is all about and what differentiates it from other schools. And I'm not talking about making it better or worse than other schools. I'm just saying we have an emphasis here on some things that most other schools don't pay as much attention to. And what I mean by that, example number one for me is with Jeanette in Class 1, my wife, and she comes home and talks to me about what her work is, what she's paying attention to. And in addition to teaching children to read and write, which is obviously core to her role in Class 1, she's working, and probably the core of her work, the central part of it, is actually developing the social fabric, the little community that's there in that class, so that something really important happens. These children learn how to look after each other. And especially the ones who maybe find social relationships a little bit more challenging, maybe a little less able, maybe even have some dysfunction in that area. She's really concerned that everybody in her class feels okay, has a place, is able to be who they are, and is not obstructing other people's capacity, other children's capacity to do the same thing. And that's a real work. And it's not the same as learning, being able to regurgitate things. And it happens here. And then the outpouring of that, how that grows and develops. Like into the high school, I had a story a couple of weeks ago. I was talking with someone who has a child in the high school, was talking about that child was having some emotional difficulties. So this is not schoolwork, this is things going on in that child's emotional life. She said that 5 teachers had come to her independently of one another and expressed their concerns about her child. And most of the students in that class had come to her independently, either individually in groups, and expressed their concerns. That same thing that's being built in Class 1 lives in those children right through their lives, and it obviously strengthens through the high school. And it's an important part of what makes our school what it is. So what's at the essence? And it's not just an aspiration, it's actually a living reality. So that hence education for social conscience. Now I'll just say one last thing before I move on about that. That's the best we've got so far. I think it's the 6th draft of that particular phrase. It's changed. It's not the same thing it was. It's changed and changed. We've thought about it. We keep asking the question, is this the right thing to hold at the centre? I don't know the answer to that question, but maybe one of you has got a better idea. And if you have, get involved in the consultation process and tell us what it is.